Good evening. I'd like to bring tonight's Finance Committee meeting to order. It is 6:03 on January 6th. First on our agenda, just really quick as far as doing that, is the review and improvements of the minutes. I have read them. I have found nothing amiss. So and if anybody has any questions or not, I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I, Gail Weiss, vote to accept the minutes as written.
Do I have a second?
Second. Lindsay McCarthy.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yay or nay. Dan Campbell says yay.
Gail Weiss, yay.
Lindsay McCarthy, yay. Robin Vandermatt, yay.
Moving on, department budget meetings. First up tonight is the Senior Center, Council on Aging.
Hello.
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 Please identify yourself.
My name is Colleen Letourneau, and I've been the director of the Council on Aging and the Senior Center here in Northfield since July 2021, so 3.5 years.
Do you know the members of the board?
I haven't met you guys, I don't believe. Hi.
Hi, I'm Robin Vandermatt.
Hi.
Lindsay McCarthy.
Yes.
You know me, I'm Dan
And you know
Campbell.
me,
I
Gail
definitely
Weiss.
know Gail.
As we start all of the meetings, one of the things that the Finance Committee does is we look over the budgets, we kind of dissect them a little bit, and then at the end of the process, we deliberate and make recommendations to the Select Board. The Select Board, in agreement with us, then puts the budget in the omnibus and then is taken to the town floor at the annual town election. So that being said, looking over your budget, I'm looking at, there's the only thing I see here, we really don't talk about wages because those are actually locked in. But I see that you're going up on a couple of things, and one of them is obviously seminars, and the other would be postage.
Yep.
All right. And the last thing is dues and membership. So those are kind of things that are obvious to us that usually go up from year to year. Is there anything else in your budget that you'd like to discuss at this point in time?
The only thing I was thinking that moving forward in years to come, it would be a good idea if we had an activity budget. Right now, in order to fund activities and supplies and food, and we have to fundraise. So we fundraise, we get grants, and it seems to me that we're a very, very low percentage of usage of what the town is paying out to people. And yet we bring to the table psychosocial well-being activities, lack of social isolation. We're pretty important. I keep the budget to only the things that I really feel need to go up, and it's cost of living. It's just inflation. It's just inflation things. But I really do think that another budget line is overdue. That in conversations with the Massachusetts Council on Aging, MCOA, they feel that that many towns, cities aren't looking at the big picture of the aging population that's underway as we speak. Baby boomers are here. We need to entertain them. We need to make sure they're okay. We need to supply them with food and sustenance and entertainment and socialization and exercise, and there's so many things. And right now, shy of like just charging for a lunch or something and hardly covering the cost, that's for sure. We make our ends meet on a shoestring budget, and it just feels that moving forward, I think that the Council on Aging deserves a more robust budget in the areas that we already have, but in creating a new budget line that I think is a smart thing to do to ensure that programs are there, food, supplies are there, quality employees are there, staff, make sure that the reimbursement for gas, just really make them and us feel that we're worthy to ask for more. So that would be one thing I kind of regretted not pitching, but you've heard my pitch, so think about it, you got a year. No. Council on Aging in Massachusetts, the head people, they're kind of leaning toward, you can start staking some claim.
So, what would you think would be a budget figure for something like this, based on our population and based on what you've seen in other towns?
Well, as I say, I'm not prepared to answer that in full,
Okay.
but it would definitely be probably a $10,000 budget line to cover all of those areas. It could be spread out everywhere. So we don't have to, ask for people to help with donations, please, but no, it just feels like there's a lot of strife in getting to support our teachers, our art teachers, our exercise gurus, our yoga instructor, she's fabulous, I have to get grants. And it just feels like there's a lot of work behind just putting on some basic programming.
So, I would think that going forward, you would check with other towns.
Yep.
See what programs they have and the cost of those programs, and then come back to the town and present what you feel would be a fair amount.
Yep.
And when you get to that point, as far as cost, we could maybe look at that and make some recommendations.
Okay.
I'm thinking you're probably looking at something for next year's budget rather than obviously
Right.
in the interim here. Any questions on the proposal that she's thinking about giving us?
No, I think as is.
I know you charge like for meals and such, and I understand it's voluntary, those, where does that go right now? Like
What
for-
I charge for the meals,
Right.
it pays for all our supplies.
Okay,
Yeah, and we hire bands sometimes. We
Okay.
have a harpist come,
Okay.
that comes out of like whatever donations I've had.
donations, yeah.
I've had some very nice citizens or their families bequeath money, and we're kind of living on that.
Yeah.
And you've got a very frugal director here, so she cuts coupons, and I just feel like that seems,
Yeah.
I don't know, we're pretty important people, us seniors, so.
So when you have programs and you have a shortfall, and as far as do you take it out of like the other charges? Is that what that part that has like $1,500 in it, I think?
So no other charges actually belongs to, actually I brought that, other charges is the Serve Safe, the CEUs. We just had to do, it's a Serve Safe but allergen certification, so we need to get that, keep that up to date. That would also include getting my new coworker, she needs to get CPR, AED, so I've already gotten that, but she needs that, so I need money for that. That's not the $1,500. Are you
It's
thinking
18,
other
yeah, it was 18,
supplies?
it was 1851, 58 or something like that.
The other supplies, one above it, is the,
Or it's,
yeah,
Other
is the
supplies, I think.
annual fees for my senior center, which is $1,200, just to have that database and that keeping track of who comes and who goes and the statistics
Yeah.
that it can induce and the programming it can keep track of. So 1,200 of it goes just to that. It's just it isn't time yet to pay it. They
Okay.
have a certain
yeah,
time
yeah,
and it's right.
Exactly. So those are
And-
locked-in fees that you have to pay.
There are locked-in fees. Motion picture licensing, motion picture fee is annual. It went up about, I actually have that figure, but
Yeah,
it went up
yeah.
a bit more. It will be $300
Oh, wow.
a year in July, and it was about $250
Yeah.
or so.
I thought 200 when I was doing it in orange, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can't run our beautiful TV downstairs, we can't show anything, you have to have that if you're a public place. So that I learned, and so we've been adherent to that. the Massachusetts Council on Aging annual fee. That goes up, especially as the formula grant, as they hit milestones and helping. We're only getting $14 a senior from the state.
Approximately how many seniors do you have
I
that participate?
Participate? I think there's about a third of seniors in Northfield. A third of people are seniors in Northfield. I would say there's a good, in some way or another, maybe 800, 900 people flow in and out in different capacities. A lot of them, I rely on volunteerism. If you've ever been to one of my volunteer appreciation, you'll see the numbers that I generate as to how much they are saving a town. And it's in the like tens of thousands, you know, that what their rate is per hour for doing this, that, and the other thing on a consistent basis that we're not having to pay out to make it happen. It's all free. But if you equate it into the dollars that actually would be paid to a person, and there's a formulary that the state comes up with, it's like $300,000 or something. It's a lot. So we operate on frugalness and smarts and a really great group of volunteers and board members and friends support groups, and so we've done a lot with little, which is, I think, a testament to our success, because some people would fold under such conditions.
So is anything happening in the kitchen area that
Is
I'm
there?
aware of?
Is there? Well, I came back from New Year's break. I took a little extra day off and came back, and gosh, it was cold in that room. And I went in and there was no stove. And I'm like, what happened to the stove? But I do know what happened to the stove. It just happened so quickly. So thank you that we are getting finally a stove that doesn't make you have a headache from the odor coming out for years. We've had it tested and cleaned. It's hobbled along. We put Band-Aids on it and slept on some paint and tried to see if it could work. It finally hit its end. The orifices where the gas meets the piping to make the flames and all of that on the grates was corroded. So gas was leaking around it. So at times I would go in, if we got it started up, it would just like go like this big like flash, because it would have like a backdraft. It's like waiting to be lit. And and so we were constantly shutting it down. I have a million work orders to help me get it turned back on. You have to crawl underneath. So it's had its time. It's made many a meal, but it's time for something that doesn't make people feel nervous and unsafe, and even the Agawam Popco, who are very, very, very good company and state of the art. They know everything. They really looked it over and they said, it's dead. You gotta put it to rest. So, so with funds that came about, we are happy to say that we have a stove ordered. The old stove is out. The new one's coming in. We have menus. The first thing we're going to do is make you bacon, Dan. Because when we make bacon, the whole town hall comes floating down.
That's true.
So we will make you guys all
Appreciate
bacon.
that. Any he'll be there too. Any ETA on when they might have it completed for you guys?
I don't have that answer.
Okay.
No.
All right.
First thing was disengage, disable the current piping into the stove that was already turned off. It's been cold for months, or at least a month. And it's been ordered, and we have a whole system with the company that's bringing it in, Singer. And they're gonna meet with our highway guys, and they're gonna work on getting it in and using maybe a lift crane or something. I don't really know. I said, I got the quotes, Tommy, it's yours. So.
Great.
I thought the hard part of that was getting rid of the old
I
stove.
know.
It sounds like it was one of the
That was gone in a
easiest
day.
things.
I couldn't believe it when I came
Yeah.
out. I'm like, what? I thought I would see people walking in with broken arms or something,
Do you have any questions of us?
No, I think you're a good group, and thank you for listening. And I'm always up first. I said that to Andrea. Why am I always first? But I was the newest, and I had to be up first one year. But I don't know, I find budgeting pretty easy personally, but thank you for
Well,
doing
again,
what you
keep us
do.
informed as to what you want to do with your, with that new idea there.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Do you need a revolving account to help you out or anything? I know some senior will have revolving accounts under the 22 and a half, and you keep that money, it rolls over year to year.
That would be really, really good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know about how that all, but that makes sense.
yeah.
Because so you would, if you didn't use it, you get it to keep it still, right?
You get to keep it,
Right,
yes.
Yeah, because
that
usually,
makes
a lot of
sense.
times, it's,
Sometimes it's
money
hit or
that's
miss how
given to
much.
you, and, you know, it doesn't go into the general fund, it would be used for discretionary things.
So it's
just
called
for the cost of-
revolving.
yeah.
Revolving, probably any fees that you collect,
Yeah,
any fees and gifts, I would make it fees and gifts.
There's a maximum
Yeah.
too, you have to, or a minimum, right, or a maximum? Can
No,
we
just not anymore,
Okay.
not with the municipal,
Super.
yeah.
thank
All right,
you.
well, thank you for coming in, I appreciate it. Like I said, we will be discussing everybody's budget, and we'll be discussing them ourselves, and then we'll bring our results and our recommendations to the select board and meet with them.
That sounds great.
Thank you. I
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
what you do.
Thank you.
Next is recreation, but we're a little bit ahead of ourselves. And like I said before, we can't really go ahead in case someone wants to come in and be here for the budget. So we're gonna move on to a couple of things. To anticipate the 6:30 start. We're gonna go to minutes attended. Did anybody go to any meetings? I think we did. Didn't we go to the three town?
I did
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
I did not. I
You
missed
did
that
not.
one.
But yes,
How'd it go?
the select board members and finance committee members with three towns, Leiden, Bernardston, and Northfield, have been meeting with the Pioneer Valley School to discuss the new
Agreement?
agreement.
Regional agreement.
Regional agreement. And we were giving our input into our agreement. We're not quite there. We see things one way, the school committee sees things the other way. We'll be still having some meetings, but we're kind of into our final go-round, I think. And once that is done, the results will be brought back to the town for them to vote on, because the towns have to kind of agree to the proposal. There are some things that are changed. Once they get the draft done, we will put it on the website so people can look at it. The select boards and the finance committee have their own opinions on a few different things as far as that, and we're hoping we're gonna come together with some kind of agreement with the school committee. One of the things I don't think the school committee realizes is the town pays for this. We are the ultimate end of the road, so to speak. So we are going to do our due diligence and make sure that we put the towns in a good light. So that's kind of what we have expressed to the school committee. Anybody want to add to that?
I say the biggest sticking point is capital.
Yep.
One of the sticking points that we had, that they want to put their capital expenses on their omnibus. Capital expenses would be like, okay, they want $100,000 for technology this year because they want to upgrade their technology. We're saying if you're going to do that, we want it as a separate article so that we don't have that ongoing in the next budget, so that it's a one-year thing, you get it over, it's done with. They want to include it in their whole budget, and we're looking at that as a little bit of a sticking point. What we're looking at is to see if it is legal to do that. We would like to have control of that. In the years that I've been on finance committee and that I've been to town meetings, we have never denied a capital project for Pioneer Valley School. So I don't know what the big problem is by separating it out. We're going to still be working on that and discussing that. Any other meetings? Did you have any CPC?
No, we didn't. It's coming up.
Any other meetings? That being said, that takes care of that. I had no correspondence, so that's not a problem at this moment, except what I've sent out to you, which were all the paperwork that you see here. And if there's anything else that you need, we'll go over that too. Andrea, is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, I'm just letting you know that we'll keep working on the sheets that you get. I tend to try to send them out every Friday, so that it's always updated. I am still working through the budget sheet for people's payrolls, and putting them in certainly for the meetings you're having, but I just got some stuff from Michelle, and we're trying to make sure we've nailed down that we're on the same page with everybody's budget for payroll, grades, steps, and then putting the COLA in. And so I'm working my way through that. You'll get another update on Friday with the next, group of meetings. I believe next Friday, I'm looking at your calendar, your next group of people that are attending, the calendar is now opening at this very moment. So I'll always make sure that that is in your budget sheet and that those payrolls are accurate, although I'm working through all of them at the moment. There are a couple of articles that, the other thing you can notice is that I've been putting the articles in your sheet, in your master budget sheet, and that they're in there with the total price in them. And I just threw everything into free cash, because that allows you to see the total of cost of those articles. Obviously, it exceeds the amount you have available in free cash, so at some point you will have to discuss what you want to do, what you don't want to do, and then how you want to fund it. I'm happy to, usually at some point make my recommendations, and then you're free to ignore them or adopt them at your leisure. I haven't done that yet, but your next meeting will be the assessors, the boards or committees, and I didn't know which boards you wanted to see. So I haven't, Energy Committee, Conservation, or Planning, you may not want to see them at any of them. I don't think that there was any huge change in any of their budgets. And whether you wanted to see the accountant, treasurer, collector, or town clerk budgets. The town clerk, I'm assuming you would invite in because she has an article to talk about a sign. So you might want to have her in to talk about that. So that is the one thing that I would confirm with you is, what do you actually want on the 13th? I mean, usually you meet with the assessors, but it's up to you based on their budgets. Certainly I'll reach out to the town clerk and invite her to come in, but I can change those times around at the board's discretion.
I think there's a couple of things that she wants to discuss here. But just people who are watching tonight, Andrea is here audio. We're having a little bit difficulty getting the video, but she is here Zooming tonight. And as you can hear the audio, she is here in spirit.
So if you guys want to let me know, I'll certainly invite the town clerk. Do you want to see the assessor's office and any of the specific boards and committees that you particularly would like to talk to? The one thing that I do want to point out, there are a couple things that were added to your articles just recently. One is a legal article. I had a discussion with the town attorney after the decision on the solar by both the planning board and the conservation commission. We anticipate appeals on both of their decisions to deny those, the permit and the two permits. And therefore I asked his opinion on what he thought we could reasonably expect if both of those get appealed. And he told me $50,000.
Each or what? Or
together. We
Okay.
figured 30 to 40 on the one, and an administrative appeal on could happen with the Conservation Commission. That's why I didn't up the budget for legal, because this is not a permanent legal thing. It is, in theory, an extraordinary legal. It might bleed into the following year, but the idea is that it would be done in a year and a half if it was to happen. So, so that is why there is an additional new article for a legal request. We will certainly know by the time the budget is going to get printed, whether or not we're looking at an appeal, but I wanted to put it on your radar, that has been added. A couple other things that will be coming into the budget. Had a meeting with the chair of the select board and the highway superintendent. He is going to request, and we are looking at the personnel piece right now, and so you'll be seeing it. He would like to hire an additional highway worker into the highway department. I have requesting that we hire back the maintenance position at a grounds and building maintenance position. So it wouldn't be as high as our old maintenance position. We're not expecting the same level of expertise, but we've now added yet a third, well, potentially a fourth building, if you count the fire station, to the town's building. But more importantly, and we'll talk about it when the library is here, the town hall and the library, we feel very strongly that we're not actually getting the routine maintenance on the buildings that we need. And I'm going to add, if you don't have the boards and committees next week, it's possible that maybe I will add a discussion of those articles into this, so you can have more discussion. I'm just letting you know now, but I might add those in. And then you will be able to discuss those new articles, because they weren't presented before. They're relatively new, following some additional meetings with the chair of the select board and with the highway superintendent and with the town attorney. So I will put those on your agenda for the next meeting so that we can have a more in-depth discussion. But when you see them probably in your next budget material, I didn't want you to be surprised that they just popped up. But they are, the legal one at least is already a request in your materials that you've seen for additional funding. So
Yeah, we'll probably discuss this again a little bit later, and we'll probably.
yes, I'll put it on your next agenda so that you can actually have a discussion.
Whether we want to bring in one of those boards or committees. Being 6:30, I'd like to have the Recreation Commission step forward, please.
Hello.
So I'm dressed it. I'm gonna go play volleyball afterwards.
Very nice.
And Josh is holding his butt here.
Just in time.
Yeah.
I know that most people know who you are, but since we're being televised, could you identify yourselves, please?
Sure. I'm Stacy Bond. I'm the director for the Northfield Recreation.
Josh Roman, the chair of the Recreation Commission.
And Chelsea, who is our treasurer, could not be here tonight for a last minute meeting at work.
Okay, do you know all of us?
I do. Well, Gail,
Yeah.
yes.
You know Gail, Robin?
Lindsay very
Lindsay.
well, and Robin
Okay.
very well.
I'm Dan Campbell, the chair.
Oh, yes.
Like I tell everybody that comes in here with their budgets, we are a recommending committee. We sit down with you, go over your budgets, you explain your budgets to us, hopefully justify it to us. We will then deliberate on all the budgets later on in the year. We will then take our recommendations to the select board for their recommendations. Some of us will agree, some of us won't. So with that being said, looking over your budget, there doesn't seem to be a lot in here that is, the only thing that I see in here is the $10,000, but I think that is for wages, that's
Yeah, so pretty
correct?
much, most of it is pretty much the same. There's a few small increases. The one that's the big increase is the wages, and that's because the summer program is our biggest program that we have. We had 5 weeks last summer, and we blew through that very fast. We're also planning on adding a week of vacation program in February and another one in April, because it is pretty popular. It allows parents to give their kids something to do while they go and continue to go to work and can, continue to get salaries and all that good stuff. So it's a really important, when we had to stop everything during COVID, that was the one thing that people were like, when is the summer program coming back? So that's a big thing. And so we want to make sure we have, we also, when we hire people, we're looking into doing like CITs and stuff like that, but we really want to have trained adults working the program, and so we have 4 key trained adults that work it. So we know that it's run well, and you know, but that does cost something. So that is the reason for that increase. But like I said, everything else is.
Well, I see a $2,000 increase. What does that entail?
Which one?
Purchase of services.
Purchase.
Purchase-
services.
Yeah, services, yeah. Next to last, third from, next to last.
That would be, the porta potty increases, that would be, our website hosting fees, things like that.
Okay. And then a $500 increase in supplies?
Cost of goods keep going up.
Okay.
Soccer balls need replaced, basketballs need replaced, volleyball nets, things like that. All of the equipment that we use just needs upkeep.
I also see that you have a capital expense coming in for a storage shed.
So I put that in because since we're still a growing committee, and as you know, I can at some point go through some of our stuff just so that people are aware. I think a lot of people are aware of what the rec does in town, but just to give the full gamut. But we really need some, so there's inside storage that's underneath the stairs in the gym, or not in the gym, but next to the gym. And everything else is sort of like down in the field, which when there's snow and ice and stuff like that, you can't. It's just not. It's dangerous to like send people out there and get stuff. So we're looking at putting something on the outside of the gym, something that people can go in through the gym and just go right around the corner. It's right there. I wasn't sure, so when that was due, I wasn't sure exactly how we were going to go forward with this. I think that we're going to try for CPC funds, and I got to get all that information still and get the form in. But I did that just because I wasn't sure.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I think that I will know more once I can get the application in and stuff like that. And that might be the route that we take, but just in case it doesn't work out or something, you know, I figured we could sort of build a little bit, because my guesstimate is it's probably going to be somewhere around like 10,000.
Is this kind of be like a modular, drop it in there?
I'm hoping, yes.
Okay.
That's the goal. I don't want to make it into a huge project where it's going to get built and everything. I have Home Depot does something that actually they have a whole, exactly the type of thing that I need. I just need, Josh and I got to go measure and figure out the size, and then make sure the school is okay with that size, and you know, do that kind of stuff. So I just didn't want to let it go any further, and I wanted to put that in at least so I could have something towards it if we didn't get any CPC funding.
Speaking of which, how is your pavilion coming?
That is just on hold until the spring.
Are you looking for more funds for that? Because I understand you were short on that.
We were, yeah. So that's a collaboration between the PTO. Well, it's really the PTO. We will also be utilizing it, so we were helping with it as well. They're still doing some fundraising for it, so that's still a little bit up in the air as far as the.
So was it PTO money, or was it PTO looking for this, or was it a recreation that was looking for this pavilion?
So I know it's a little complicated. So what happened is that the reason we had asked for it to begin with was that there was a sum of money that they weren't told that was going to need in order to be able to finish it, and we were hoping that if we could come up with that money real fast, that they would go ahead and do it. But then there was some concern about just putting in a slab of cement, and so they just opted to wait until the spring. So that's why it sort of was like rush, and then wait.
So are you hoping that this goes through and gets done this summer, this next?
It should, in the late spring, once school is out, they are going to proceed to go forward, and we're hoping that we can still, I don't know how much, the PTO has been fundraising in the meantime, so I don't know what the bottom line is going to be at that point, but it wouldn't be more than $7,000. It should be less than that. So it depends on what they were able to.
So what would you be, if you there's a shortfall, what would you do to accommodate any kind of a shortfall? Is there
So
any
we
plan?
actually have in our budget currently, there's the $7,000 under the athletic field purchases. So we're keeping that in there, but it was at one point very recently slated for mowing at the school.
Yep.
So we do have that as a backup, if need be.
Who's
So
taking over the mowing?
the school has,
Oh, they are? Okay.
well, I found the lease.
Oh,
And in the lease, it says that it's the schools. I don't know how it ended up being our responsibility, but
Good.
yeah,
great, thank you.
you're welcome.
That's good. Any questions?
So, Stacy, you're looking at 5 in here, and then are you looking to just get maybe some here, some CPC, some, I mean, and try to,
That's the
Piece it all
trick,
together.
right? Is
Yeah.
how much will we get from the CPC? I don't know. And then,
Yeah.
and how much is it all gonna come down to?
Right.
So I'm trying to get at least something, and then I assume we can get something
Right,
from the
so
CPC.
put it all
so-
together. Yeah. They
You
know
know.
they don't have a lot this year. so-
Right. And
so
I'm
it's
not
nice to
looking
put it
for
in
something.
pieces.
We can't put them in a giant storage there anyway.
Right.
So my guess is it's going to be somewhere around 10-ish.
Okay.
My guess, maybe 15, because I always think
From
like,
CPC
and by the time you put down stone and have it
Total cost of the
delivered,
project.
15
yeah.
would be the total.
That's my guess. I still
Okay.
have. I'm
That's-
still in the
that's
process.
to pavilion or the shed?
No, that's
That's
for
a
the
shed.
The shed, okay.
So you're looking to get as much as you can from CPC for the shed.
I would like
But
to.
this would be,
Yeah, as sort of a backup, so
Yeah,
I
in
don't
case.
maybe have to
Yeah.
wait a whole another year for summer storage.
yeah, so you'll know though before.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
Any other questions from anyone? Do you have any questions of us?
I don't think so. We have been through this now for a few years. Can I do my little spiel?
You can
real
do a
quick
spiel,
for-
you have another 20 minutes. so
Excellent.
you have to
I won't
entertain
take
us.
20 minutes, but I would like to just, say how much that the rec has been doing, over the past couple of years. I think the 350th has kind of set me off into this world of, what is possible. And with an amazing committee, we work so well together. Josh is an excellent chair. We have things that are going on that are free programs. We have things for kids. We have a lot of things for adults also. Like I said, I'm going to go play the free volleyball. So that's on Monday nights at 7 o'clock. The free pickup sports. We have soccer twice a week, indoor soccer. We've got adult basketball. We have now a play group for children that are 0 to 5. That's every third Saturday, which is also a great, hoping that parents that have kids that are going to be going into the school system can get a feel of the school and stuff like that. And that's been well attended. We have a free choir club that has 17 kids in it. And some of them participated in the Christmas play at the Trinitarian Church. And we have fun programs that we get sponsors like Greenfield Cooperative Bank and First Light to help us with, like the gingerbread houses we had. We also collaborated with NMH with some ice skating for the community for Northfield and Gill residents. We filled in to do the carnival and fun run this past year. Josh sets up games at UMass that people like to go watch the women's basketball and hockey. We have a pool advisory group, and Laura Fries, who's in charge of that, set up a free swim for residents at the Y just recently, because that's hard to come by pools.
Sure.
And of course, the Luminaria is something that we sort of took under our wing after the 350th, and that Main Street looked great. Thank you, Lindsay, for all those bags of lights. They were beautiful. And then the candy for the Halloween is becoming a thing in Northfield. The Dickinson Library clocked somewhere around like 500-600 kids that had gone through. So we got a hold of Greenfield Cooperative Bank again, asked them to help with the help of Robin, and asked them to help sponsor candy. And we gave out candy to Main Street residents to help them alleviate some of the how much it costs to buy all that candy, and also to encourage some houses that don't participate to participate. We do collaborations a lot with the Dickinson Library. We're starting a Dungeons and Dragons. Robin's son is actually doing that.
Teen night.
Yep, teen night. Josh was there at the
Yep.
last one.
Every other Friday at the library there.
Every other month.
Every
Yep.
other month.
Yep, on a Friday. And then for the adults, we have pickleball twice a week. We have a rec attendant, Pat Holloway, that's amazing, and she's very diligent and keeps those guys happy. The exercise classes, we have Laura Rooney. She does actually 4 classes a week. She does on Tuesdays and Thursdays. She does a yoga Pilates twice a week, and then she does a bar class and a dance aerobics. There's, of course, the summer vacation program, which is all of July. And then we've got the week in February and in April. And our kids programs, we've got basketball, baseball, soccer, a mountain bike club, which is my new favorite. And I just got an e-bike, so I'm excited to help with that this year. Cheerleading, softball, our softball team. We had 2 girls softball teams. There were so many girls this past season, and one team won champion, the other team won reserve champion.
That's great.
Yeah. And that's also our chief John Hall is a big help. He coaches the girls basketball right now, and also softball. And then we also the carrying on with 350th stuff, decided that we wanted to sort of keep on with Northfield kind of needs, we feel like Northfield needs like a one big signature event every year. And so we've developed this events coalition, which we're trying to do people of the community that are sort of movers and shakers, also business owners, so that we can do things together with them. We have an upcoming Winter Wonderland weekend, February 15th, 15th and 16th. Sorry, that's a Valentine's Day weekend. And with the help of Leslie Cameron, we've got some really cool stuff coming up.
I hope you're not reliant
I
on
look at Mount
snow.
Henry.
I hope you're not reliant on snow. You know, it's been the past.
Hey, you know,
It's still this now.
we can make it all happen. We're New Englanders, right? So that's just a drop in the bucket of all the things that the rec
How many
is doing.
kids do you, in the summer program, how many kids do you guys have in the summer program?
The summer program, we tend to get, was that our second year back? And of course, take a little bit of time, but we average, I think, about 25 to 30 a week.
Oh, wait, that's good.
Yeah,
Wow.
somewhere around there, yeah. And then in our programs, like the basketball and soccer stuff, we tend to average around 75 kids.
Oh.
Do they come from other?
We do,
So- They
come from
yeah.
Gill
And actually in
and other-
basketball, so like Gill
Nice.
doesn't even have a gym.
Yeah.
So
they can come.
we work with that. Actually, one of their chair helps coach one of our junior
Nice.
teams. So
Nice.
yeah, we work closely with Gill with some stuff too. 'Cause they're great, and Bernardston too.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's good. There was a question that we had a while ago. It had to do with the 300 and some funds that they still had.
Oh, the
or something.
350?
The 350, yeah, 350th.
Oh yeah, we
that
figured
was,
that.
Yeah, that was funds maybe to use for the shed, but.
Oh,
But
okay.
Yeah, but then we realized that it wasn't going to work
Cash,
out.
yeah.
So is there still funds from the 350th? Is there still
There
out
are, but they're
Earmarked for
not
things?
something that we can deal with.
I think that's to
It's
go
some-
back to the general
It
fund.
has to go back to
Okay.
the town.
Well, there's a
Okay.
few
couple projects
things,
still.
projects that are still lingering
Right.
that we're using those funds for, but the rest will go
Go
to
back to
the
general
general fund, yeah.
Any approximately how much of that money is or not?
Yeah,
Looking at me, I'm looking at Andrea, because
It's-
I don't,
I think it's about 35,000.
that's
Okay.
what I'm guessing.
Was any of it seed money?
But under the law, that, and Gail knows this, that it has to go back to the general fund unless, as Stacy's saying, there's a few things that are wrapping up from the 350th.
Yeah,
Can-
and that's
But they're
why.
not big, they're not.
Doesn't sound.
No, they're not big.
Exactly.
Pat has
Couple
a,
thousand, maybe $5,000-6,000 is still.
And then the 350th.
350th is
Yeah,
still
and
going.
Pat Shear has a little
Yeah.
project that
So there'll be
she,
a significant amount of money going back, which
And there will
I think
be.
that hopefully the town will be happy.
yeah,
The
It'll go be
townsfolk.
part of next year's free cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
free
But
cash.
it'll be a nice thing for them to know, the
Yeah.
town to know when that happens.
yeah.
Yes.
350th rock.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sure
It
did.
was a
Yeah.
great- Everybody- and thank you for
Never
that.
giving money back.
We were careful, we were very careful.
I
So,
think we had good treasure.
I have no questions. Does anybody else have any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Again, we'll be
Thank you.
looking at your budget and going over it, and we will make a decision whether to support it or not, but we will do that with the select board also.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's amazing, you guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
You guys do an amazing job.
Thank you very much.
And again,
Great.
Again, as I've said before, we cannot start before we can start at 7. So we have about 13 minutes that we need to maybe go over some different things. We have nothing that was not anticipated in the last 48 hours, but we do have time for public comments. I do have some people in the audience if they want to come up and if they have any public comments, but I would like to have you identify yourself since you are here.
Bob Henry, just sitting in on my second finance committee meeting to try to get educated and watch the process and learn a little bit more about the algorithms of budgeting.
I
I'd love
appreciate
to
that.
see the big cherry sheet that we work off of, with all the line items, so you all see. I just, I'm kind of interested in that, and interested in how we can accommodate growth, i.e. if each one of these committees is looking at a $10,000 to $50,000 increase, then how do you prioritize / triage all the requests, and then put it to paper and pen, and what your factors are that you use for prioritization.
As you can see, some of the, when we're looking at the budgets, I would say a majority of it, probably 80 to 90% of them, are due to increases that are, just have to have. They're, your cost of doing business just goes up by 5 or 10% as far as doing that. Where we see some of the increases is when we look at the capital projects that are out there. So those are the ones that we take and we look at, and we are very critical about justification on capital projects more than we are on their general budget. Although you've seen tonight, we looked at, if there's an increase, we want to know why there's an increase. So we try to do our due diligence when we bring everybody in. Some of them, they don't increase their budget at all. Some of their budgets have been the same for the last 20 years, pretty much, except for the increments of postage, electricity, that sort of thing. And we can understand that. So that's what we try to do. Sir.
Yeah, I'm Mitch Damon, and I'm just here basically for the same reason, learn a little bit about what you do. Recently retired, and so
I appreciate it.
maybe
We also
free time.
we also have a seat that we need to have filled. So either one or anyone that is here, that would be a great thing to do. In the back of the room right now, Bernie Parada, who's been a member for many, many years, has been asked to come back and fill a vacancy for at least through the budget period because he has some expertise in there. I have sent the request to the moderator and haven't heard back from him yet. As soon as I do, as soon as he can be appointed, hopefully he'll be sitting up here with us again. And Bernie, again, introduce yourself.
Hi, Bernie Parada. I just, for other reasons, I had left the committee after several years of service, mostly because of family things. And Dan has asked me to return because of the fact they have 2 vacancies on the board. And in case there is one person who doesn't show up, we don't have a quorum. And I felt that if, for the short term and for the betterment of the town, I would come back to the Finance Committee and serve out till the end of the fiscal year 25. So this way I could be involved in the fiscal year 26 budget process that they're doing now, and also attending today to as this is the start of the budget hearings for the departments, to be, receive paperwork, but to become knowledgeable and in tune with what's going on. So hopefully by next week, I will be sitting with my future colleagues or some of my past colleagues, and hopefully help go through this process at town meeting and hopefully be successful as we have in the past.
I want to thank you for stepping forward. I really appreciate that, and we appreciate you being here tonight, and hopefully we'll have you here for real next week. The rest of the people, I think, are at the library, and I'd love to bring you. You can come down. We can have just a little discussion before we start getting into your budget, because as I said before, and someone wanted to come in, and we already have started. That wouldn't be fair to them. And since we are still in the public comment, is there anything other than the library at this point, because we have a few minutes before I can actually get into this, that you'd like to bring up that has nothing to do with the library?
You want us to talk about
You
something
can
besides
if
the
you want,
library?
you can just discuss without talking
How was
about
your
the
holiday?
library. How's that going?
I've got
That's right,
library
I
on
love
the
putting,
brain.
I like to put people on the spot.
I know, and Misha loves being put on the spot.
I love it.
I won't do that to you. We'll just hold off here and try to have a little discussion as far as doing that. I think I could probably have you come forward, because I don't think anybody is gonna come through the door, but just because I'm a stickler for things, I'm gonna hold off.
All right, we got 6 minutes.
Yes, you have 6 minutes.
Meeting, Dana, we want to jump ahead to that, I mean, we know the date. But I'm just wondering if you wanted to talk about who you actually wanted to come to that next meeting, at the next meeting.
Won't take it that long as far as that. So then our next meeting would be January 13th, and slated would be the assessors, boards or committees, and there's 3 options for that: the Energy Committee, Conservation Committee, and Planning Board. And then the other would be the accountant, treasurer, collector, town clerk. I think the assessor would be good to come in, because there's some things we're going to be talking about with the assessor. So I think that would be an okay one. If we wanted to postpone or think about conservation and planning board until we discuss the possibility of the extra costs for litigation, we might want to bring them in a little bit later. I would say that you could fill in with the town clerk if you wanted to do that. I think there's 2 articles he was going to discuss, isn't there?
There's a
Yeah,
sign.
and I could certainly put on the agenda the other articles for your discussion, the legal article, we could go more into that and you can actually ask questions. And the potential building and grounds maintenance position, and which we can discuss a little bit with the library tonight, but I could put those on there for you to have a more in-depth discussion about that position.
Yeah, I think the accountant, treasurer, and town clerk, we've got them 15 minutes apiece. I don't think they're going to be that long. So yeah, I would say that put the town clerk in there, the accountant, and the assessor, and then we'll discuss the other 2 areas. Yeah.
But there's no elections next year outside of our local, so it shouldn't be that bad, town clerk.
Well, no, there are 2 articles.
Oh, yeah, for the sign.
Yeah, yeah.
The sign and.
There's really, the budget really isn't, but there are 2, one's a capital article and one's a kind of a suggestion, I think, is what we were talking about. It has to do with the constables.
Okay, and I'll put any other, we'll look. Dan and I can talk about any other articles that we could list on the agenda that you want to discuss that have come up since the capital article requests, to give you a chance to talk about those.
Yeah, I'll have that ready Wednesday, it'll be ready to go out, because I won't be here on Thursday.
I'll look at it tomorrow and. Yeah,
Anything
anything.
else you'd like to ask Andrea over here? Okay. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. That one doesn't work.
Having collected treasury, the other thing they have are supplies and maintenance fees outside of their salaries.
Yeah, again, just to see
Yeah.
what's their need, what some issues might have been, discussing maybe the possibility of doing credit cards on other town departments, like the town clerk and that sort of thing. I don't know
Oh,
how
okay.
that would work.
Yeah,
Although that costs the user money.
yeah, it costs the user because the town can't pay it unless you put it in their
That's
budget.
correct.
Yeah,
No, we don't pay it, the user pays the
right.
extra fees.
And there's only one bank that does it that I'm aware of, Unipay.
Yeah, well, no, they charge.
I know, but
They
they
charge
charge the
the
customer.
card owner for
Yeah.
that, yeah.
It's either that or they charge the town, and if so, you'd have to put it in the budget.
It's true, yes, and we don't want to see that happen.
Yeah.
We can start an introduction before we start into deliberation. So we will ask for an introduction. You are.
My name is Misha Storm. I'm the library director at the Dickinson Memorial Library.
I'm John McGowan, and I'm chairman of the trustees, I believe, right?
That's right.
Okay.
And last but not least,
Alex Drisky, also I'm trustees. I'm the acting treasurer.
Treasurer.
and I don't know if you know all of us as far as doing that, but
Rami
Hi,
Intermets,
Robin.
Lindsay McCarthy.
Hi.
Dan Campbell.
Gail Weiss.
Hi there.
Okay, that being said, we have another minute.
I'm
We're all friends now.
We are.
Yeah, Alex.
The other two budgets went fairly quickly because they didn't have that much to worry about. So I know that the library are locked into certain things. And as I've said to everybody that comes through the door through the budget, we are a recommending group of people. We look at your budgets, we kind of dissect it a little bit. We ask questions as why and when, and we ask you to answer those. We take our recommendations to the select board at the end of our deliberations. We discuss why we feel that it should be, what we feel about it and why we would recommend it. And usually what happens is if the select board agrees with us, not always do they agree with us, they don't have to. It goes on the town warrant, and that goes to the annual town meeting, and then it is voted on by the people in the town of Northfield, who then have created the tax rate for the town of Northfield. That being said, it is now 7 o'clock, and you can present your budget.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so the budget that you have in front of you should be the most updated one, including Andrea's changes. So the salary just accommodates steps and cost of living. The electricity, I will let Andrea explain. She briefly explained via email to me, but there is a bump from a previous Eversource project.
Well, the electricity here says
It
it's the
says it's
same.
flat.
It's flat, it's for,
No, it's like 2,000.
Not on this picture.
Out.
I thought I did, but I took.
That's right here, it's 2,000. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I did not see
On
that.
there.
So it's not on my master sheet here.
Oh.
So there's a 2,000 increase
But
in
that's
that,
the
and you're
only
gonna explain that to us, Andrea.
Yes, absolutely, and you're gonna see it again in the town hall. So, we signed back in, let me look at the date on this, 2019. The Energy Committee reached out to Eversource and went through one of their programs in which they were doing, projects that would do energy savings. For the town hall and the library, it must be mostly lighting projects. The schools did some more with refrigeration and much bigger projects. But basically what happened was the agreement was there was going to be a project. Eversource would pay half of the project, and then the town would pay half of it over 2 years added to their electric bill. So the projects went forward, but Eversource messed up for whatever reason and never added the cost of those projects onto the electric bills. At some point this past year in 2024, they figured that out. And so came back to us and said, hey, we never got the 50% you were supposed to pay. So we went some wrangling around for several months and like, that's not our fault. You didn't bill us. Yes, but you technically get the energy savings. That's what the whole thing is you're supposed to pay the 50% because you get the savings. And then once the 50% is up, you own the project. You own all the savings. So we wrangled back and forth a bit. And I said to them, we finally came to an agreement that we would get another 50%. So for example, the the cost would have been to the town about $4,400 over 2 years. And so now it's going to be about $2,100 or $200 next year. We'll do it 1 year and they'll cut another 50% off. So for another couple thousand in savings, we agreed on that. And so that's why you're going to see a $2,000 bump in their electric bill next year. Town hall will also have a 1 year bump for the projects that happen in the town hall. They were even smaller. The town hall projects will only add us up, the total was $2,700, so we'll go up $1,300. So we're only going to have to pay now a quarter of the 3/4 of the project cost, supposedly having saved all that for the last 5 years. Does that make sense?
So does this show up in the electric bill every month?
It will show up in the electric
Okay.
bill. I negotiated starting July 1 because they said, hey, it's not in our budget. We're not going to do it till July 1. And they said, okay, well, you would have had to pay us back $4,400. We'll cut that in half and do it in 1 year. So essentially we're doing 1 year for half instead of 2 years for the full amount. So we got
Okay. I'm glad you were able to get that done. To me, it's too bad, so sad,
Yeah,
but,
right.
all right, I appreciate what you did. Thank you.
So that's why it's going to go up for $2,000 for this 1 year. And then we can see costs are going up anyway. I mean, they represented that to some extent. So hopefully that's a one and done.
Bill will be about 180 extra a month. Basically.
Do they have a line item on their bill that shows that?
$200 a month. So that's, 180 or so, yes, for about $2,100.
Okay.
So.
All right, so,
Okay.
that being said, we will change that.
All right, so back to the rest of it. So the next three changes are the postage, office supply, and custodial. I just want to point out that we have not changed our custodial or office supply budget since 2001. So there's been some inflation. And so I would like to raise those two lines. Postage also is just more expensive. I'm
surprised, printer ink.
So I'm gonna jump down to the bottom one.
The big one?
The CW Mars.
Yep.
So that is a very specific jump. I know exactly what our fee is to CW Mars ahead of time for each year. So they raised it 138, and that covers more ebook access for our people.
Okay, the one before, $5,000.
Yeah.
All right, the one before
Let's see.
is materials. So you
Yeah,
two definitely know. I will go over it for Lindsay and Robin. We have requirements from the state to stay certified. Certified is what allows us to exchange material, do interlibrary loan with all of Central and Western Mass, and many other things. But the two big things are, it allows us to share a collection with the whole region. And it also grants us state aid, which is about, it goes up a little every year. When I started, it was about 7,000. This year it's gonna be about 9,000. So the state gives us that money for me to use on things that aren't in this budget, like computers and things like that. So those are the two big reasons to stay certified. In order to stay certified, you should have this document with all these things that we have to do, like hours and don't charge for library services. But the two budget related things is the municipal appropriation. Basically, the town has to up the budget by a certain percent every year. Y'all do. Thank you. But then also we have to spend 19.5% of our budget on materials. Materials is books, You know, all physical things that you think about at the library, but also ebooks, and movies and all the streaming services we have. So we have to spend 19.5 of whatever generous budget you give us. So we're constantly like kind of chasing our own tail with this. So it's put in place, it has great intentions. It's put in place to make sure the towns that aren't well supported have to be supported. So there's always a huge gap between what is allocated from the town for the library to spend on materials and what I have to spend on materials each year. So for instance, let me find my numbers. So last year, the materials line was 32,000, but the materials requirement was 39,000. So I had to come up with, you know, that difference with other funding. So every time we raise the budget, the materials requirement also raises. So.
Like a catch-22.
Yeah, so, I'm just trying to continue to keep that gap manageable. So it seems a little counterproductive to ask for $5,000 in our budget so that I can meet because it makes the materials requirement go up.
Yeah.
But I did calculate out, which piece of paper did I put it on? So on this spreadsheet is a 230,000 budget. The materials requirement for that is a 860,000 materials requirement.
Okay.
If I were to ask for that 5,000, it would be a 225,000 budget from the town. It only brings the materials requirement down 1,000. So that gap with the 230,000 budget, the gap that I'm trying to find is 7,860. The gap with if I didn't ask for the 5,000, would be 11,885. If that, does that, all those numbers make sense?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, the system.
So even though I'm asking for more money, it's allowing me to not have to come up with $12,000, which some gap is totally fine. I get grants, the Friends fund a lot, and gifts. People give money to the library and use it on books. Some people give memorial gifts for specific types of books, things like that. So we cobbled together that gap, but it was nice. I just been trying to keep it manageable. So, yeah.
Gentlemen, anything you want to add to that?
Well, yeah, you might. When I looked at this, I said, well, why are we raising it $5,000 and or whatever? And then I looked at what the state kicks in, and it's a lot. What does the state kick in? About
9,000.
9,000.
Yeah.
And I said, well, but then again, if you read her thing is, if we don't do this, our people can't borrow books from the other libraries. And Anisha made a nice statistic there. She said that there were 7,500 books borrowed from Northfield, and we only loaned out 3,500. So we got that gap of sadness. Yeah.
Right. We're a small town. We're obviously benefiting from the
So
system.
I figured it's $4,000 and it's divided. So it's only $1.25 per person.
Oh, okay.
To fund this 5,000. And that's voodoo economics for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions you'd like to ask of us? Are there any capital projects you're thinking of?
Not this year.
Okay.
We need an AC system. But right now I'm trying to work with the energy. They're wonderful. I am working with the energy committee. There's limitations on how many grants they can have out at once. So we're going to try to see how much we can get it funded from grants, and then I'll probably be asking for the difference next year.
Okay, good to know.
So.
Thank you. Anybody else? Again, thank you for coming, and as I said before, we will be looking at budgets and we will be making our recommendations to the select board. And we'll do that at the end after we do our deliberations. So
Great.
thank you again for coming in and explaining that, because I know it's a difficult balancing act that you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I have good faith, like, one of the benefits that state aid, I feel good about it continuing to rise. I work with the Western Mass Library Advocates, and we are the people that talk to the legislators to make sure that that gets funded every year. And every year since I've been involved, it goes up a little. So it's that money from the state is that's money that I don't have to ask you for.
That's great.
So,
Yeah.
That's great.
And you run a lot of programs.
yes.
Yeah.
Lots.
So, okay, thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Well, that brings us back to our next meeting.
Okay.
Our next meeting,
That Northfield Farms Library is asking for. Gail, I don't know.
Oh my God.
It's
Well, tell the oil companies to stop.
raising prices. It's amazing how gas has gone down, but oil keeps going up.
well, that's because it's time of year and everybody's using it, so they can
Yeah.
make more money on it. Again, the calendar for next week, it looks like we are going to have the assessors, town clerk, accountant, treasurer.
Okay.
And then we're gonna discuss the,
Treasurer in, did you look at their budget? Is there something, I mean, do you need them to come in?
Because there's just what.
let's look at it.
You know.
I hadn't had a chance to really go over that one
Let me
yet.
see. It's on here.
Accountant, that's, no,
Gotta go back down. Accountant.
the accountant, basically, it's $225 increase.
And you guys are on Vadar, so you're locked in for a few years.
Okay. So I don't think the accountant is necessary to come in, because you're only looking at like $220 increase.
The only thing that the treasurer is asking for is a bump in postage, and then there'll be a salary. And I think.
You know, treasurer even is not $300,
Yeah.
not even that, because they're reducing one of their line items, so.
The assistant
Yeah.
treasurer? Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is gonna go down. So,
Oh, really? No, I don't think no, not really. So,
well, because we're figuring out, that the new assistant that they share, how to, put those two together. So actually, I think you will see a decrease in the either the assistant collector or the assistant under the financial assistant. We just haven't decided which one we're gonna take it out of. So you will actually see a decrease.
we'll have a discussion at that later in the year then.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. So that brings us down to just 2 people next week, it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah. You said, yeah, I know, those other 2 items that you want to talk about. So our next meeting is January, where are we? 13th.
At 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. I wrote.
And I will entertain a motion.
I, Gail Weiss, make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Linda McCarthy seconded that.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Stan Campbell says aye.
Gail Weiss,
Yeah.
I.
Lindsay McCarthy says yes.
Robert
Internet says us.
We adjourned at 7:16.
7:16.